What's up, everyone? I'm making a video on what I call the VMO clock drill. This is really good. Well, everyone should do this, but this is especially good for endurance athletes, runners, cyclists, things involving a ton of repetitive motion of the legs, as generally a lot of these areas are missed. So I'm going to kind of talk you through it as I do this. The gist of what I'm doing here, though, is I'm going to be positioned. My weight is all going to be on my planted leg. So what I try to imagine is that the carpet is water. So if that's water, obviously I can't put pressure on it. So anytime I contact the ground, I'm just going to be tapping the ground, but I'm never shifting my weight onto the ground. My loaded leg is doing all the work. So clocks, the reason why I call these clocks, let's just say 12, let me make that a 6. 3 is kind of back there, and 9 is sort of here. There you go, there's 3. 3's on the other side of the box. So let's run clip. So I'm going to start off in this case with a 9 o'clock heel touch. The heel should be the only thing touching. The only exception is when I do a 6 o'clock touch, that's the one where I'll touch my toes. I'm going to reach across, I'm going to tap 3 o'clock, and I think 12 o'clock is the hardest one. You'll actually see me lose a little bit of balance. Whoops, caught it. And touch. So one thing that I kind of want to mention here is if you kind of make my legs, just take them away for a second and just focus on my hips. The main thing that has to happen is my hips have to drop down. So it doesn't really matter which number that I'm doing. If I'm doing a 12 o'clock touch, my hips had to drop down, right? They had to lower. If I don't lower my hips down, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and I'll show you what this looks like the wrong way, I'm going to put way too much pressure in the knee that I'm trying to work. But then I back it up again. Let's just say my hips are about here or so. Let's go back and look at the other step. Same thing. Don't worry about my legs for a second. Watch my hip. My hips have to drop down. So that's the main thing to kind of keep in mind. So let's look at what these should not look like. I'll show you the 12 o'clock again. 12 o'clock. So let's look at what these should not look like. These are pretty obvious. Alright, easy enough. All my weight's down in the wrong leg, right? We never want weight down in that leg. Remember, we're pretending carpet is water. Stay out of the water. 6 o'clock, same thing. 3 o'clock. I mean, the only difference here is that not only did I not keep my feet parallel, by not keeping my feet parallel, you can see how my hips completely rotate. Your feet should be parallel at all times. And then 12 o'clock, that's what happens if I don't let my hips drop down. I just shift forward. My knee moves forward, my heel picks up, and we do not want that. Your heel should be contacting at all times. So I'm going to show you what this looks like from the front, and then we'll call it a video. Side, and mind you, this knee here, I really am trying to keep this knee, let's say, tracking centered. So basically, if I were to put a line, that's not very straight, but you get the idea. Let's freeze the camera for a second so I can actually draw in here. If I put a line, we'll just say right down here, I shouldn't see my knee swaying in, or I say out or in. And it's hard. It's something to work on, and that will get better with practice. There's my 12 o'clock. So before I show you the wrong way again, let's run through those again. Backing up. All right. So again, my feet are parallel. This foot here cannot swing out. And for the most part, I do a pretty good job of keeping my knee tracking correctly, not letting it sway in or out. It takes a little bit of balance, so while you're learning to do these things, if you need to hold onto a dowel or something like that, that's okay. But I'd encourage you to really work this one with as little help as possible, just because the more help you get, I'm pause this. I'm doing it the wrong way now. The more help that I give myself, the less stabilization my hip needs to work on. So I want to try to work into a point where I can do this all unassisted like this without holding onto a wall or a dowel for balance. So let's look at the wrong way again. These are pretty self-explanatory. Complete collapse. Complete collapse. Again, all of these I'm falling into water. That one there, hips rotate out, feet don't stay parallel. That one there, I just step off. So same thing as before. So this is the VMO, I'll call it the VMO clock or clock matrix if you want to be fancy. But this is a very good drill to practice. If you don't have a box, I don't know if phone books are still a thing, but find something that you can stack. It doesn't have to be high. If you're finding that you just cannot hit the ground, use a lower box, and that's totally fine. Okay, let me know how they go.